Welcome to Riverdale After Dark, a podcast about the CW's Riverdale that is taped deep in the dark. I'm Alex.
And not that kind of dark where like, oh, there's the moon. It's sort of cool. I can see where I'm going. There's no moon. The stars have gone out. It's full noir. I'm Justin.
Hey, what's up? I'm Pete.
And we are going to be talking about Chapter 46, The Red Dahlia, not the Black Dahlia. Don't get it wrong, guys. The latest episode of Riverdale, which, as Justin teased, is a full-on noir Raymond Chandler episode straight out of the 1930s. Dark detective work going on just like you like it, just like you dirty fuckers like it.
Whoa, guys, what's up?
No, I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about our audience. They're a bunch of dirty fuckers.
Whoa, hey.
No, Humphrey Bogart. He always said that, like in the Maltese Falcon.
Yeah.
He's like, listen up, you dirty fuckers.
That is his famous line. It's, when he's getting on the plane at the end of Casablanca, I think he says, listen up, you dirty fuckers.
All the dirty fucking bars to walk into.
Good classic Humphrey Bogart line. By the way, I should mention, beyond the audio podcast, we're also doing a video version that we're taping over Skype. We put one up last week. It was kind of a little test. What's really nice, if you are watching the video right now, Pete is hiding behind his microphone, and it's really fun to see.
He's going to have a neck ache at the end of this. You can see, you get to hear him fall apart as the show goes on.
Yeah, cool, if you're listening on audio, don't even worry about that. Just skip that last part. Let's jump into it. Let's do a recap because there's a lot of stuff that you need to know going into this episode.
Oh, my God.
I mean, this is like straight info dump, this episode. It's crazy how this happens. But where do we even begin? So Riverdale was put under quarantine because there were a bunch of seizures happening in town. We suspected it had something to do with Fizzle Rocks, which is their drugs that are being distributed by Hiram Lodge through some sort of network. We don't know exactly what's going on with that, although we find out a lot about it this particular episode. The quarantine was lifted, but then yes. Oh, again, if you're watching the video, this is very bad for the audio podcast. Surprise guest dog. Surprise guest dog right in the middle of the recap. This is Recap Dog, which is very exciting. Where were we talking about? Oh, so Hiram Lodge. The other thing that had happened with Hiram is somebody shot him last episode. We don't know who it is.
Hell yeah.
That is part of the big mystery going on this episode. And while he's in the hospital, Archie Andrews and Veronica Lodge broke up officially for real this time. Veggie was ascendant. Varchie was descendant. That's kind of where we left those relationships. Meanwhile, Betty is kind of dealing with her own things as usual. One of the biggest things that she's investigating is exactly what went on after the Sisters of the Quiet Mercy seemingly committed suicide back at their fake nunnery. She's also been communicating with her old father, communicating with her father, Hal Cooper, who was the Black Hood. He was sent to a Hannibal Lecter-esque prison last season, and she has started consulting with him and bonding with him. And then, let's see, what else is going on? Oh, yeah, Jughead. Jughead has been dealing with some stuff with the Southside Serpents, specifically on the downside of things. Sweet Pea and Fangs accidentally killed Tallboy, who we found out last episode was the Gargoyle King, at least in the present, and also what's the other thing he's dealing with? Oh, on the upside of things, his father, F.P. Jones, was named the sheriff of Riverdale. He's the new sheriff of Riverdale, so he's the law in town now, boy. That's what's going on. Meanwhile, Penelope Blossom, Cheryl Blossom's mother, has been trying to build a brothel, so that's pretty nice for her. And I guess we'll probably get to the rest of the stuff when we get to it, right?
Yes,
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, there we go.
That was really good, Alex.
Thank you so much. I love you, dirty fuckers.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Fuck?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Sense.
Let's jump into it.
Wait. Well, hold on. Is that the first time Zalman told us he loved us?
Yeah, it's what a moment.
A big moment, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy you didn't say it back, but whatever.
I'm on my own schedule, all right? My heart beats on its own rhythm. You know what I'm talking about?
Wow, you should write for Riverdale.
I feel like I do. So let's jump into our podcast, Riverdale After Noir.
Ooh, wait, before we do, actually, I have a question for you guys, and I'm sure we would have gotten to this anyway, but I think it's a good place to start right at the beginning of the episode. What did you think of the whole noir of it all? Do you think they achieved it? Do you think it was any different from a regular episode of Riverdale? How did you feel about what they attempted in terms of the tone?
I thought
it definitely was different.
You go first, I guess.
Okay, it definitely was different. I don't know. It felt a little like too much some of the time to me. A little forced. Jughead isn't the cool dude in the cool detective, you know?
Yeah, that was the part to me. It's funny. Riverdale is a crazy heightened reality anyway. Like, it clearly doesn't take place in the real world. It's not supposed to be set in the real world. Everything that happens in Riverdale is very close to noir a lot of the time anyway, both in terms of the way they film it and the way they execute things, but a very heightened, very ridiculous noir. The only thing that was missing was Jughead's narration, him typing on a typewriter, Veronica coming in and saying, "I've got a case for you, Jughead." And certainly they hit a lot of the tropes throughout the episode, but the thing that was funny to me was visually, just in terms of the direction, it didn't change that much, I think. Like, it was essentially shot the same way it's usually shot, with a few exceptions where they had a lot more lower angles going on, I think. Yeah.
And the flashbacks, obviously, make for more noir.
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the tone really fit the show, like Zalman is saying a little bit. But I just thought it was a blast. What a fun kind of just, you're kind of turning up in a certain style. I thought it would really fit the show great. I mean, it kind of is an insane soap opera anyway, so kind of putting a noir flip on it. I thought it was just a lot of fun, and it brought out a lot of great stuff in the characters.
Yeah, and it allowed them to cram in so much information.
Holy shit!
It really turned my head around.
It was crazy. I mean, we've been talking about this. I feel like after I turned off the episode, I, not turned to myself, but like I sat there for a second and being like, we're 46 episodes in. I should be used to the fact that they're going to jam through so much plot. And I know we talk about this on every podcast, but the fact that they're like, last episode, well, Archie's going to have a drinking problem now. In this episode, they're like, Archie doesn't have a drinking problem anymore. Yeah. And all of these things, from the quarantine to who shot Hiram Lodge to all of these things that could be ongoing for episodes. It's insane how much that they wrapped up in this episode.
To be fair, I've been suspicious about the water management of Sweetwater Creek for quite some time. So it was, I knew it would come. I saw that coming.
They cram in so much stuff, but then you can have floating babies over a fire and never address it again.
Yeah, that is totally true. I will say, and I know we were going to get to this later, we did call that at one point on the podcast, that we did say that maybe there was runoff into Sweetwater River that was causing the seizures. So there you go.
That's truth. We called one out of a million things.
What do we win?
I like those odds.
Yeah. The two other things that I just wanted to say about the tone before we actually get into the episode proper. One, the music I thought was great. I don't know if it was Shirley Chung or Blake Neely specifically who did this episode, but they really amped up the noirness of the score, even beyond Josie's musical number, which straight out of Dick Tracy
was
straight out of Dick Tracy. It's Madonna's song in when she's playing Breathless.
Yeah,
Josie's phenomenal in this.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. But I just specifically wanted to call out the score because I think the score of Riverdale is so good anyway, but they really amped up the horns and everything and played into the noir nature. And even when it wasn't necessarily visually happening on screen, audio-wise, I think it was working really well. And the
Giving
other thing,
the horns a shout out.
yeah, got to shout out them
Always
horns.
popping for the horns. Hard repping those horns.
And then the other thing that I wanted to mention, just generally about the tone, and I'm sure we'll get to a couple of specific things, was how funny this episode is. Like, they did a great job of making it noir, but poking fun of it the entire time. Like, it was...
Yeah.
Riverdale is always very self-aware. This was a ludicrously self-aware episode, and I appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely felt like they were like, well, we have to say a lot of things in this episode, so let's be fun about it and do this noir thing.
Yeah. I mean, the recap was just, it's almost like last time on this insane show, and they just gives you a recap, and you're like, oh my God, I forgot about that part. Like, oh, it's just
the crazy thing was the recap was 42 minutes long, and then they just went to the end credits. That was it. That was the whole episode.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a joke. That's a joke, but for real, that's the future of this show.
Well, it is. I mean, Jughead was narrating most of the episode, so it was
and that's sort of what they did on the premiere with Archie's trial, where they were like, "Hey, real quick, here's 45 insane things that happened to Archie. Let's flash back to those, okay? Oh, you remember that? That's happened in the past 2 seasons of the show."
But also, like, rewarding people who were paying attention. Like, you found out something from season 1 in this episode, or was it that shooting? That wasn't. No, it was like.
No, there was stuff from basically every season of the show that was revealed on this episode, which is pretty big. So let's jump into it. Justin, you want to walk us through?
Let's do it. So we start the episode, Jughead at the typewriter. He's talking about Noir Town, which he later calls Crime Town, but he's also talking about Riverdale, which is fine. That's very cool.
Hey, it's Riverdale.
It's Riverdale. Yeah, exactly. Forget it, Jughead. It's Riverdale.
All right, I just want to say, this is not to pat myself on the back too much, but when the episode started and he was typing, I was like, I swear to God, if we get out of this episode without somebody saying, forget it, Jughead, it's Riverdale, I'm going to lose my shit. And that was the last line. I was so happy.
It was good. They earned it, and they didn't overplay it. It was like nice and just subtle. Man. It was good.
Yeah.
So Jughead is talking to FP in the secret bunker. Who FP's a
sex bunker.
Yeah, the sex bunker is now sort of the crime bunker and also the cop bunker
and a morgue.
He lies to FP, which Jughead, you don't want to lie to your dad. And we learn that FP's not a great detective because he was sitting on top of a dead body and did not realize that.
Or smell it.
A dead body that has been in a bunker just lying there for...
Well, it probably smells like weird sex, so like that body you probably can't even smell it.
Yeah, right.
That does sound like a Jughead plan. Like, we have to have sex, so the smell of this dead body.
Yeah, and Betty's like, it kind of smells like a dead body. She's like, don't worry about it. It's a sex bunker. It's fine. That's why it smells like that. Just have more sex.
A guy named Tallboy would definitely have a big stink. So it's weird.
Oh, yeah.
Then we have
such a bad plan.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just going to agree that it's a bad plan. Please go on.
I mean, the way Jughead is mismanaging the Tallboy thing is so weird to me. Like, he's got the body in their place. It's like hiding the body in your trunk and just going about your business.
Not even in your trunk, because your trunk closes. Like, this is, if you walk into that bunker, you're going to be like, is that a dead body under there? And you'll be like, nope, that's just some extra blankets. Anyway, sit down, ignore this big stink.
At least the guys in Weekend at Bernie's pretended the body was alive.
Right.
You know?
Maybe they spritzed him with some perfume or something like that.
That's definitely did.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll be the plot of next episode. So Betty and Hal are talking just murder, like how to murder. And we get into some talk about Clifford Blossom, someone who we've suspected may still be alive. And we learn in this episode he is not.
Right. Decidedly not. But the thing that I think was interesting about this, and this does a good job, the more that I think about how the pieces fit together, that first scene with Hal is really to set up not just the last scene with Hal, but also the theme of the episode, the idea that people are more complicated, that it's as they literally say, like, it's not noir, it's not black and white. There are shades of gray in there, which, of course, is what most noir fiction is about. But they're talking literally in terms of color, which I wondered when they have that line, and this is very much jumping ahead, but I wonder if that line, that's why they made the decision not to film the episode in black and white, but instead to have it in color, because ultimately that's the moral of the episode. But that point to bring that up now is that's what's set up in that first conversation is Betty is thinking about things in this very moral absolutes, and Hal, of course, is like, I don't know, kill people maybe? What do you think? Yeah. And for those of you who have forgotten, that was what the Black Hood's MO was. He was killing people he saw as sinners, people he saw as transgressed the law, and the law had not taken care of them. And as we find out later, that's essentially what Penelope is doing as well.
Yeah, it was interesting because it really muddied all the characters except for Archie. Once again, he's Mr. Pure. And as we see later, he gets close to a murder, but he doesn't. He's still the one pure character in town.
Is he?
Well, I mean, technically, based on what we learned about Betty and Jughead here, like Archie always gets close. He's like, I'll kill him. And then for some reason he doesn't.
Right.
Hey, wait, I want to ask you guys something. The hell scenes, it's too much like Silence of the Lambs for me to kind of deal with. Like, at least try a little bit to do something different. I mean, it's a little too much.
I get what you're saying, but Riverdale has never been afraid of just straight up cribbing something, and that's what they're doing here. That's happened so many times through the show, down to what we just called out as a good line, them saying, forget it, Jughead, it's Riverdale, straight out of Chinatown. That's fun there. Like, I get what you're saying, that it's, like we talked about the last episode, Lachlan Monroe plays Hal, is doing the Anthony Hopkins voice from Silence of the Lambs. So it's a little ludicrous over the top, but they made that choice and they're kind of sticking with it, which is why I'm okay with it, though I understand why it might be a little bit beyond the pale for you.
I want Hal to just start eating human. To be a cannibal right out of the gate there. Hal's the kind of guy that eats liver not with a nice Chianti, but with like a sort of warm Bud Light.
Now, can we, while we're talking about Hal, because I don't want to forget to talk about it later, given that we do find out that Clifford is dead, he's not hiding out somewhere alive.
I don't know. I mean, this show's insane. He could still be alive.
Here's the thing. The people that have turned up...
family did an autopsy.
Yeah. The people who have turned up...
Oh, the sketchy Moore guy that you just got to give money to change whatever he'll say?
Dr. Curdle Jr. is the only good character on this show. You said Archie. It's actually Dr. Curdle Jr.
No, he's up to no good. He's taking money to do sneak autopsies.
He's giving it to orphans.
Yeah, right. The idea that we learn later that
he kills orphans.
Yeah, he kills the orphans.
Yeah.
That dude did an autopsy just cause, like he did an off the books autopsy. Like, oh, I might as well do this. It's like, that's insane.
I don't know. I know you guys know this, but for those of you out there, I work full time as an entertainment journalist. Sometimes I write about TV shows in my spare time.
No. Okay, there you go. That's the same thing as doing an autopsy.
Yeah, it's, you
really do an autopsy on that episode.
When you love your job.
And Alex really did an autopsy on that episode of Riverdale.
Yes. Okay, back to Hal. Back to the Hal scene.
Yeah, I mean, this episode muddied all the characters, and I think a good way. It makes both the parents and the kids just sort of all in this same mix of people who are not doing great things to the people around them. But to your point about the episode being in color, it would have been awesome if it was black and white and it switched to color. Betty had that realization, Wizard of Oz style.
Ooh, yeah, I would have liked that.
I just think it's creepy she keeps going back there, man, after she was like, I don't want anything to do with you except for when I want to sit here and talk to you all episode.
Dude, if I finally get caught for my serial killings, we would still do the podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
What?
Yeah,
did you just put a blanket over a dead body and hope nobody notices?
No, I just stuffed it under some stuff.
Oh, okay.
My comic books. I am a comic book collector as a way of hiding my bodies.
Oh.
I just kind of have them strewn all over the place.
Comics or bodies?
Take your pick.
Yeah.
Take your pick. Little bit of column A, little bit of column B.
I like to bag and board my bodies. Just keep it pristine.
That's good. Yeah, you get them professionally graded.
Yeah.
Like a loser. So let's keep going. Archie takes a job working construction, which he's good at because he refuses to take a break. And he challenging your I was going to say commanding officer, your manager on a construction site is the most insane thing I've seen on this show.
How dare you say that? There's way too many more. He almost died from a bear, you asshole.
No, I got to be honest with you. I'm with Justin on this one. So for those who didn't watch the episode for whatever reason, Archie is breaking up a bunch of concrete blocks, and the foreman is like, okay, union mandated break, and Archie doesn't stop. He walks over to Archie and is like, hey, you got to stop, knocks the hammer out of his hand, and Archie steps up to him and he's like, I got about 100 pounds on you, bro. And he's like, whatever, I'm not stopping, you can't stop me. And the guy's like, that's it, off of my crew. And Archie pushes him, and I agree with you, that was beyond the pale. That was too much. Like,
I worked construction for a number of years, and I would never.
He was in a fight club, in an illegal jail fight club. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but he went along with that.
That made more sense to me than him pushing the dude who was managing the construction.
He was losing it on those rocks, like just losing it. And then some guy comes over and grabs a hammer out of your hand. What do you think's going to happen?
Dude, have you ever worked construction?
Don't poke the bear.
You die for breaks.
Oh,
You're dying for a break.
Sure, well, I think even more than that, the fact that, like, I know the point was that he has anger issues and he can't really manage exactly what's going on, but that he went at that guy, it didn't make any sense. Like, I guess he's supposed to be self-destructive at this point. That's what that's showing us.
Yeah, that's why he went to the soda shop and had too many soda pops.
He got real hepped up on root beer there.
Yeah, it was shots.
Now, I have an even dumber Riverdale question for you, and this is you'll know why in a second. When does this episode take place? Like, what day of the week does it take place? Because
I thought that as well. No one's in school.
Archie, is he going and doing construction on the weekends? Like, that was my big question when Fred's like, it starts in an hour. That would probably be a weekday, right?
It would have to be. No one works.
You can work on the weekends.
No, not for a regular job, a construction job.
Well, it depends on if you're behind. They would pay overtime and try to have people work on the weekends.
I'm just saying, this took place over the whole last episode was like about how school is so important, and this episode, no one even mentions the idea of going to the high school.
They're clearly like, just based on Archie alone, Archie goes to construction during the day. Fred has no problem, if he is missing school, him going to the construction site. And then he's at the soda bar all night getting wasted. Josie brings him back, clearly still
cold
daytime.
Shower.
Yeah, so... Yeah. It was during the day, like you could see the light coming in through the window. So I thought it was at night, but nope, not at night. Josie's there during the day. Reggie's there during the day. Archie's there getting drunk during the day.
These people go hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like a rehearsal or a mic check, like nobody else was there. So it was definitely early before the club was jumping.
I guess. I'm also going to throw that out there just before somebody yells at us online. I'm guessing post-quarantine they sell liquor now. That's what's going on, right?
It did. I feel like maybe they mentioned that offhand in the episode from the break. They definitely do have liquor, or Archie is a real soda jerk because he definitely was fucked up.
Yeah, it was.
I'm going to, you know what? I think just for the sake of this podcast, though, I'm going to stick with the fact that it's a non-alcoholic soda bar because that's much funnier.
Definitely. He loves flat ginger ale as his drink of choice.
Give me another. I got to settle my stomach.
So we have, moving on, we have Elio dropping off some flowers. Elio's accent is from a part of, I don't know, like Montreal, Brooklyn or something. I don't know where his accent is from. But Alex, you were talking about how maybe Elio is a romantic interest for Veronica. Are you still feeling that way?
No, I think we've moved on to Veggie at this point.
Monica is strong.
Monica is strong, yes. Well, not so strong this episode. They're basically like back to the partnership version of what's been going on with him this episode, which I thought was interesting. There was like... There was a little bit of a hint in the way that what did she call him? Reggie, her jacked up jack of all trades. Where it's like, okay, like there's a hint that something's going on. She's talking about. Yeah, they're flirting.
Yeah, but that wasn't romantic. That was more like,
Right. But it was a surprising step back. I thought we were going to get a little more than that after they made clearly a decision at the end of the episode. But for Elio, I think we're past that. We're done. Like, there was a sense that maybe we could have had that, but now we're straight on to Band Monica.
I think Veronica treats Reggie like she treats Archie in the comics, where it's like, oh, yeah, Archie, you're here, but I'm doing my thing.
Yes.
And I don't know. I do think the relationship is there in this episode. When they're doing the drive around, picking up the lodge money, and Reggie's the man in black. Like,
oh, yeah, that was cool.
She looks at him like, I'm going to take those clothes off.
Yeah. You look like my daddy.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh, that's creepy, guys.
What? Some people have that.
We crank up the noir in the next scene when Veronica walks into Jughead's office, find my father's killer, sort of moving the plot in motion. We find that Hiram is having an affair with Kelly Ripa after
Kelly Ripa.
Mrs. Mulray, yeah. Mrs. Mulray, I'm blanking on it. It's Faye Dunaway's... Is it Faye Dunaway's character name in Chinatown? Is that what it is? It's one of her characters. Tell you what, I'm going to look it up while we're talking. But how did you feel about Kelly Ripa in the episode? How did she do, even if she was only in one scene?
I thought she was going to do way more.
Yeah, but it was fantastic, though. I liked her character choice with the jewelry and the hair. I thought she was kind of badass. And it was a fun moment where Shears is tough guy and then she tries to catch the egg. That was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, just real quick. Faye Dunaway is Evelyn Mulray in Chinatown.
Nice.
There you go. So that's the reference there. And for those of you who don't know, Kelly Ripa is married to Mark Consuelos. So that's the cute little in-joke there. And, of course, his son played the younger version of Hiram on the Midnight Club on the flashback episode. So getting that whole Consuelos-Ripa family right in there.
Yeah, I'm going to start featuring my dog and children in our podcast.
You already have. You've done that.
What?
Yes.
Oh, I did. Oh, that's me. What a scam. So, the Kelly Ripa stuff. Yeah, I hope she comes back. I mean, this character is interesting. It was crazy how they tied her story in with the water management. She was also in charge of the water management.
Well, that was wild. I mean, that's another Chinatown thing, right? Like, for those of you not familiar with Chinatown, I'm blanking on the exact plot, but I know it has to do with the water management in Los Angeles. That's a huge part of the plot, if I remember correctly. So that's what the reference is there, but I do like that they tied that up with the seizures and with the runoff for the fizzle rocks and everything else going on. I don't know that we're going to see her again. It seemed like they had her for a day, so they brought her in for a scene, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, but it would have been fun.
Still great.
Yeah. So next up, we have Fred turning on the dad juice. Gets right up in Archie's face, right up in the camera, yelling at him. That's more than Fred. That's the Fred I want to see.
Shape it up, son. Shape it up.
Again, we talked about this the last episode. The lack of tolerance that anybody has for what Archie went through is insane to me on this show. Particularly Fred being like, I understand that he's giving him a little bit of tough love, saying you can't drink away your problems. You think you're the first kid who's done that. But him being like, take a walk around the block. Come on, man. Shake it off. Like, your son got attacked by a bear. Put him through therapy. There needs to be a therapist that talks to Archie at some point. I know it's not going to happen, but Jesus
Don't
Christ.
tell Luke Perry how to parent, all right? He's doing a heck of a job. It's hard what he's got to work with. He's doing the best he can.
I mean, to be fair, he's better than Archie's mom, who was just like, I work in Chicago now. Bye.
She's doing pizza law, all right?
Yeah, it's true, which is a very important field for all the pizza crimes. Do you watch Pizza Law and Order? It's really good. So that scene was ridiculous. Then we jumped to a very lightly attended funeral for Claudius.
Man.
Which was
fake funeral.
I mean, listen,
That's
right up front, Penelope says that he's not that popular. Only 6 people show up, something like that.
But we got a little Choni action. She was great in this.
Yeah.
A little bit of Chopaz. Though it's really just Cheryl being like, hey, let's not screw around. And she's like, yeah, what Cheryl said.
No, but she was also like, yo, Betty, get in line.
Yeah.
Tony, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Tony shutting Betty down. I thought that was great.
Yeah, it was great.
Particularly like, again, things that they're not necessarily referring to this episode, but last episode, Betty kind of behind the scenes helped kick Cheryl and Tony out of the Serpents. So, 2 episodes ago, I guess.
Yeah, or a million years ago. It's hard to keep
it's hard to remember. Riverdale is a lot like the news in that things either happened a week ago or maybe a million years ago, and it's totally not clear.
I actually think a lot of the Mueller probe focuses on Riverdale.
Oh, really?
The storyline.
I read that recently, that they're actually starting to deal with that, and there's rumors that Hiram might be indicted.
Yeah, exactly. They're definitely going to catch the Gargoyle King eventually.
I did like the scene with Betty and Cheryl after the funeral, though. I thought that was nice.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing, what Betty is doing there is super inappropriate, going to a funeral and be like, hey, real quick, tell me about your dad who committed suicide. So I appreciated the fact that both Cheryl and Tony pushed back on her about that.
Definitely.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's Betty being Betty.
Betty got to be Betty.
She does it. How often is she Betty, Pete?
All day, day.
Thanks. Just wanted to check it.
Glad that's staying strong. So then we jump into some of the Veronica taking over for Hiram, who is still shot up. She uses the word mobsplaining, which I thought was very fun.
Oh, great use of that.
Mobsplaining, great word. The way the people on the show say the word capo is stupid. I hope they can stop saying that.
It's not capo?
Well, I feel like people say it wrong, and
really?
I don't say it right.
I thought it was capo.
I think it's capo.
Yeah. How did she say it?
But it's just, it sticks out in an odd way anytime anyone says capo.
I do think part of the problem, and we've talked about this before, is they're barely mobs. Like, when we get down to it, and they mention this when she fires those 2 enormous twins.
They look like male mobs, not mobsters.
They're like, whoa, you're getting rid of your only capos? And then the mob is down to Veronica, Reggie, who is her boyfriend, and Smithers, who I thought was dead, to be honest.
Yeah, Smithers is back, baby.
I mean, of all the famous duos in the world, you have Batman and Robin, Starsky and Hutch, and Smithers and Reggie.
Yeah.
They're there to wreck shit.
I'll tell you what. Even though I don't even remember what plot point made me think that he was dead, but I was glad to see him again because I feel like you can't have the lodges without Smithers, right?
No, it is true, and I definitely thought he was dead too. So, but I remember he was driving a bus or something, or he was on a bus.
He was hiding out at the bus station, but then I thought he got killed after that, or we were told he was killed or something.
So that scene where it's Smithers and Reggie and Veronica's like, what should we do? And Smithers says just absolute nonsense.
No, come on. He was dropping knowledge, man.
The sentence didn't make it. It was like basically a riddle
from his life.
I was like,
I'm sorry. The crazier part to me about that scene was that Smithers gives this whole story about being in foxholes and that they needed to figure out a way of getting around things, so they put their helmets on their bayonets and held them up to trick the enemy. And Veronica is like, hey, I just had an unrelated idea.
So that whole scene was so weird.
But the way he talks about war, he specifically told them what to do. Smithers told them what to do, and Veronica was like, I also have an idea.
Well, yeah, but also
the same idea.
She was taking that idea and putting a little twist on it.
Right, I know. But what you say in that situation is you say, oh, that's a really interesting idea. Here's how we could use that in this situation. Not, bunch of nonsense, Smithers. Unrelatedly, here's what I'm thinking.
That's not what she said. She was like, that gives me an idea, saying I'm going to take that information and twist it into what I need.
Justice for Smithers. Justice for Smithers.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Top of his game. Smithers describes like a Charlie Chaplin film that's set during a war and is like, hey, does this help you? And Veronica's like, yeah, I guess. And then they go on with their plan.
Yeah. Later on,
he was like, judge a man for sharing his story like that.
He has this whole thing about working on a candy line and the candy's going faster and he has to keep stuffing candy in his mouth. Exactly. That was nuts. I don't know how they use that exactly, but I think it'll turn up next episode.
And then me and the boys couldn't figure out who was on first. It was either who or who was on first.
Oh, that's the joke.
So that we find the sex club in Riverdale.
Oh, yeah.
I love this. This is a sex club located in a hotel with an open door policy.
Where the sex is just happening out in the second room with no doors or anything like that.
People are wandering through.
Yeah.
That place was more like, it's like straight out of Game of Thrones. Right. It's like a real life brothel.
But it looked classy, though.
The two things that I really liked about that, though, one, I actually, this is a weird comment, but I really liked the door, that it was called the Red Maple Club. There was so much maple in this episode, by the way, but it was called the Red Maple Club, and they had that little, the keyhole was a little glowing red maple. I don't know if you noticed that. It was a maple leaf, which I thought was pretty neat. And also Betty walking in and be like, okay, so Riverdale has a sex club now. that was the winkiness I was talking about at the beginning of the podcast. That and a couple of other lines like that I just thought were so fun, where the characters... It was the characters knowing that they're on Riverdale and recognizing how ridiculous it is, which I appreciated.
Exactly. And I think that sets the stage for Veronica to open like a non-alcoholic sex club next season in the underneath the Bon Nuit.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure that's where Hal is. I think you got top floor is Pops, then right below that is Le Bon Nuit, and then right below that is whatever prison Hal is in.
And then the sex bunker underneath that, right?
Yeah, just definitely. All of Riverdale is just stacked on top of each other, like some sort of layer cake.
So we get this great scene with Archie where he is drunk, I guess. He demands it. There's no one in the bar. He demands another bartender when Reggie won't serve him. And he's
Reggie's like, there's literally no other bartenders, bro.
Yeah. Pretty fun, pretty ridiculous. Archie gets tossed into Josie's bathtub to sober up.
Man, the fact that Josie could carry him, pretty impressive.
Yeah, all the way back to her house, I guess.
Yeah.
In the next scene in this progression, I love how Josie's like, I know we haven't talked much this series of television episodes, but here's some ideas I have for you.
I love Josie in this episode. I thought Ashley Murray's delivery on almost everything is great. Like she has a gorgeous singing voice. It's always nice to hear her sing a song. She did a great job with the Dick Tracy song, so that was a lot of fun. But that scene where she is basically reading Archie the riot act and being like, you got to clean up your act, you got to shape up. And then another one of those winky moments where Archie goes into his flashback and he's like, well, I killed my demons. I even killed myself. And she's like, what?
Exactly. It's like, I don't know if you've had the pleasure of trying to describe an episode of Riverdale to someone who doesn't watch the show.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally how it is.
Oh, yeah. Good
I'm like,
call.
no, the Black Hood was defeated. And people are like, what are you talking?
After... not even after like 3 weeks ago, but consistently for the past 3 weeks, I've had people message me and text me and like just hit me up in person and be like, so Archie got killed by a bear? What?
You're an information hub for Riverdale.
Yeah, it's working out really well.
So do we think that Archie Cat is rising?
I think I can see it going either way. Personally, I'm a big fan of platonic relationships on shows. I think if you can,
Alex.
I just don't want people to ever touch each other. It grosses me out.
Oh man,
killing fine, sex no thanks.
Very American.
Particularly everything Archie has gone through, I don't think he needs to start hooking up with somebody else right now. What he needs is to figure his own shit out. And
so that means he definitely will.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I was going to say, like, on the other end of the spectrum, at what point has Archie never been like, oh, is that a hole? I'll fuck that hole. Yeah.
Oh my God. Why?
Literally anything.
Weird.
We talked about that.
Why are we on video? Your eyes got so weird. What was that?
I can't wait to freeze frame that. And make that your avatar.
If you guys want to give
that is insane.
It's great.
Oh my God.
But seriously, that's Archie's MO, is basically like he will chase after any girl in his path.
Oh, someone was being nice to him, and he's kind of like a little puppy. He was like, oh, what? You'll help me? I'll take boxing. Yeah, I'll channel my.
I thought it was great. Like, I loved the advice, her not taking any of his shit, being like, you have to shape up. The scene, to jump ahead, the scene at the end after he has kind of figured everything out, and you were just talking about Pete, but he goes back to the bar and he's like, hey, I know you suggested boxing. Maybe you could hook me up with Mr. Keller if you know him. Would love an introduction to Mr. Keller to take his boxing classes. But also, I would love to sing with you. But again, Ashley Murray's delivery on that stuff when she's like, oh, hey, Red, very cute and very funny.
But when she called him Red, that made me think it was that Archie had his...
I do think ultimately that's what they're setting up, but deep in my heart, I hope that it's more about them singing together and becoming friends together, and that's it, because I think it would be
what
a nice
a prude.
change. Yeah.
Also, I did like the way she was like, you're singing backup.
Yeah. Super cute scene. Love that scene.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm just going to roll through all of the insane plot things that happen next.
Please do.
We find out Colonel pops up like 4 times. He's like, "Oh yeah, that dude was murdered. Oh yeah, he was poisoned." So
he was making a ton of money this episode.
Yeah, he gets paid by the minute of conversation, like all more guys. So we found out that Clifford Blossom was poisoned before he was hung. Penelope later...
you forgot. He got poisoned before he was hung by blowfish poison.
By blowfish poison. We find out that a couple scenes later that Penelope was the one that did that, and she kills men just in general.
Yeah.
Which was
like
wild.
A poison ivy type of character.
Well,
yes.
Or like the Black Dahlia, which is what Betty calls out, which is a pretty famous serial killer case where she also killed a series of men. That was...
And the title of the show.
Yeah, well, the title of the show is The Red Dahlia. That's what Betty then calls her because, everything is red. What movie was The Black Dahlia? Was it The Black Dahlia Murders? Was that the name of the movie?
I think it was called The Black Dahlia.
Oh, okay, The Black Dahlia. But there's another one that they did.
Oh, the original. Because The Black Dahlia was a more modern one.
Right. I'm forgetting. Maybe I'll look it up while you're going through the rest of the murders and stuff.
Okay. Hold on a second. I was going to look it up. So we find out that Hermione knew about the Fizzle Rocks and the runoff, and she's making a deal to get rid of all the Fizzle Rock stuff, make a bunch of money, Veronica then she burns all the her and Reggie burn all the Fizzle Rocks.
They were standing a little too close to the burning drugs for my taste.
Exactly, especially all this episode talks about how Fizzle Rock runoff makes people gives people seizures. Imagine inhaling Fizzle smoke.
They're standing right next to it. They parked the car right there. I was like, you probably had to back that up a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. You've clearly burned some evidence before in your life. Like, never park the car near the burn. Excuse me. Penelope is blackmailing Betty about how she got Chick killed. Chick talked about it.
Like Betty can kill people too.
Yeah. Wait. So I think we forgot to talk about this earlier. So far in the past 2 weeks, 2 characters who we were told were killed, but we didn't see the body of, have turned up alive. First Tall Boy last week, and then Sheriff Minetta this week.
Yeah.
Chick is conveniently name dropped this week when it's brought up to Hal. Basically, there's a couple of ways I could see this going at this point. We've kind of suspected.
Don't tell me they're bringing Chick back, you asshole.
Chick is definitely coming back, but I think the way that I look at it is it's weird that Penelope would call that out because we've already established that she and Hal are telling each other about each other's crimes. So it would seem like Hal would say, I killed Chick and this is how I killed Chick, and that's how she knows that, right? But at the same time, I think based on the fact that Hal doesn't have any reaction when they talk about Chick and they don't bring it up later, it certainly indicates to me that Chick is in fact alive.
Yeah, no. I agree.
No.
Chick is the hero of Riverdale.
Right. He's going to come back to save us all.
Either that or he is the Gargoyle King.
No Chick ever again.
Oh, you better get ready because you got a big servant of Chick.
Sketchy.
Not like anyone else on this show.
Yep.
Sheriff Minetta, they're going to... so Hermione's plan we find out he's alive. They're having an affair.
Well, they're both having affairs. Both.
Yes, a lot of affairs in this episode. And Minetta and Hermione are going to pin Hiram's death on FP. And we find out that FP shot Hiram on Hermione's orders.
Sorry to interrupt real quick. The thing that I was actually thinking of, there's a new series with Chris Pine, directed by Patty Jenkins, called I Am the Night, that's just starting on TNT. That's about the Black Dahlia murders. So
cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Another autopsy on a television show by Alex Albin. Off the clock.
Yeah. Anytime. Happy to do it.
So all of that insanity happens. Jughead confesses to FP about Tallboy, which then has them concoct this plan to blame Hiram, to say that Tallboy shot Hiram, and then Tallboy was killed by FP. And they're going to roll this information out when Alice Cooper shows up as a one-woman film crew to FP's office.
She's sitting on FP's lap when Hermione comes in. Oh, well, hello.
Now, I love the fact that last episode, the farm went through all of these different things to pull the strings so that Alice could finally get on TV and finally be on a TV station. She could get her dream job. And then this episode, we find out she's literally the only person that works there.
I was like, I mean, I don't know if it was a choice that the show made, but if it was just like, oh, we didn't cast anybody, we'd be like, get one person to work the camera.
Right.
Like, what world do we think?
I think
she can do it all.
I think the idea was like to not complicate the shot, right? Like with extra people that we've never met before, like not have a guy there be like, and I'm David. You know,
well, we didn't need to have a whole monologue from him, but to me, it was so weird. She's in her on-camera clothes, and she's like pressing buttons on the camera. Plus, the camera was like on a tripod pointed down. It was just very odd.
I mean, that's local news. That's how it works.
She can do all the jobs. She is fantastic at her job. She really knows what she's doing. Plus, if you've got a camera guy, you can't be naughty with FP in the room.
That's true.
She's a host predator. That's what she is.
She's a predator. Yeah, local news is basically like shooting a web series in Brooklyn. So we get in this episode they reference so many things very subtly, and then at one point they just go Bad Boys 2.
That
was hysterical. I love that. It was like Bad Boys 2.
Oh my God, that made me laugh so hard.
I was hoping we were going to get to see some of that, but it was like, hey, Reggie, you go handle all of that Bad Boys 2.
So just to break down that scene for those who didn't watch it, just because that made me laugh so much, and the delivery Charles Melton had and Camila Mendes' reaction were both so great, is Veronica lays out the plan that they're going to burn all of the drugs and the equipment, and Reggie is like, oh, that's like the plot of Bad Boys 2. And they just hold on it for like slightly too long.
Yeah.
No, it was perfect.
No, it's great.
That was perfect.
So the thing that works so well about that joke is there's so many things that worked well about that. One was Charles Melton's delivery. Two, them specifically calling out Bad Boys 2, which is a funny reference as well. Three, holding on Camila Mendes' reaction to it. But four, Charles Melton is going to be in Bad Boys 3. So like at the same time, like I don't even think that's necessarily a reference to that. Like I think it was just him being Reggie and being like, this is like the plot of a movie I saw one time, but it works on that level as well. And it was just so much fun. That was ridiculously enough, that was my favorite part of the episode.
Oh, come on.
That's crazy.
I mean, it made me laugh.
Yeah, it was funny.
The last line was the best.
As we sort of bring the episode to a close, Man Monica remains strong. Verarchie are friends. And
well, wait, did we talk about Archie stopping the...
Yeah, we got to talk about Archie.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that in a second. So we'll talk about that. So Archie is there to kill Hiram. And another dude shows up, who we later find out is ex-Sheriff Minetta. Ex-Sheriff, ex-person Minetta. And instead of Archie killing Hiram, Archie just shoots that dude without asking any questions.
Why would it, if you're going to shoot somebody, then somebody else shows up to shoot the person you were going to shoot? Just stay there, watch that person do it, and then you don't have to worry about it. Then your guy's dead. You're not even...
To Justin's point that he made earlier, I think the idea there, or at least what I took away from it, is that Archie is still good, right? I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll never really find out whether he would have shot Hiram or not. I think ultimately he kind of just needed to point the gun at him, and that's it. I was almost expecting before Sheriff Manetta came in that he would fire the gun, but there wouldn't be any bullets in there. That it would just be the act of doing that would get him through it. But I think shooting Manetta had the same effect, where he got to see Hiram in danger and then turned around and saved him and realized, okay, I have to turn my life around as well.
Yeah, I knew he was going to shoot him because he started villain monologuing right away. And I was like, you're not going to do this. You're just monologuing about it.
Wow. Pete is pissed.
I just you're going to go and shoot him? Really? That's your plan, Archie? That's your plan?
Well, and then they make up.
Yeah.
The newest ship in all of Riverdale is Hire Archie.
Hire Archie?
No.
Archie?
Hire Archie.
Hire Archie. Somebody please hire Archie.
Hire Archie.
He needs the money.
Was anybody else upset at that? I mean, Archie, this man set out to ruin your life. His whole thing was, you can't date my daughter. So he bugs Archie enough so that they break up. He wins, and then Archie's like, hey, I have nothing to be mad at you about. Oh, really? He's still one of the most evil people in Riverdale, you asshole. You were about to kill him, but now you have no qualms with him whatsoever. All the shit he threw you in fucking jail and tried to have you killed. What? We're cool, though.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's right in the monologue that Jughead gives towards the end of the episode, where he says these are truces, right? So I don't think we're never going to see Archie and Hiram clash again, but we do need to bring this to a close. There is no possible end game for Riverdale where Archie and Hiram are constantly on a collision course where one of them is going to die. That's not sustainable over the course of the series.
So they live in the same town.
Yeah, I'd much rather have this truce. I understand what you're saying, Pete, but at the same time, I think they're not going to stop hating each other. They're not going to stop working against each other. But at the same time, this death match that they have on had to end just for the simple sake of the show continuing.
But I do think the bear will move in with Archie and Fred.
Yeah, Bear's definitely coming back.
Hey, Arch, I adopted this bear as a son. He's going to live with you. I
got to tell you, I ship Barchie. Yeah. That's the bear at Archie.
Yeah, yes, no, we got that. Yeah,
definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So the episode wraps up sort of thematically with Jughead and Hermione putting it all together and deciding they're just going to keep each other's secrets. Hermione then kills Manetta, which I was like, wow, he hardly knew ye.
Yeah.
This is this episode. We've been pretty firmly on the side of Hermione, I think, as a podcast to watch her be straight up evil and then kill Manetta. That was a real bummer.
I'm telling you, I think it supports, even though we didn't even mention any sort of Griffin or Gargoyle this episode. I do think that Hermione is more and more likely the Gargoyle King.
Also, she didn't just shoot him. She unloaded a couple rounds. She was pissed.
Yeah.
Now, I'll throw something else out at you. This is not exactly Gargoyle King, but there is a weird detail that was dropped when Betty confronts Penelope and asks her about the Sisters of the Quiet Mercy. And she says, oh, you probably wanted to kill them because they stole you and sold you to the Blossom family. And she says, no, that wasn't the nuns. That was the Monsignor of the Sisters of the Quiet Mercy. I think that's a pretty important detail to throw in there.
You think
what?
You think he's the Gargoyle King?
No, I think he's Edgar Evernever.
Ooh, interesting.
Because we haven't heard about him since. The sisters have clearly taken over the Sisters of Quiet Mercy. It would make a certain amount of sense for a big religious figure to have left there and then started another religious outlet like the Farm. Whatever it is, I think we're going to hear about him again.
Yeah, I actually made me think it might be Hermione's father. Because of all of the religiosity that she had when she was young. So I think he's going to be this weird bad figure, and that's where she gets her insanity from.
Interesting. Well, cool. What else do we want to talk about in the episode? Any other details we should mention?
I think we covered it.
All right.
No, we got to talk about the last line was an amazing way to end the episode. Like, I thought it was such a fun, like, upbeat, cool kind of. I thought it was such a great overall episode and such a great button to put on all of the madness.
Forget it, Jughead. It's Riverdale.
Yes.
Yeah. We talked about that at the beginning of the podcast.
I know, but
did you forget it, Pete? It's podcast.
This is podcast town.
Podcast town.
Talked about all of it up to that, and I just wanted to reiterate it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I agree. This is Microphone City after all.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Before we wrap up this episode, first of all, as we mentioned, Gargoyle King wasn't mentioned at all, but any new theories there? Any thoughts on who the Gargoyle King might be back in the day, now that we know Tallboy 100% definitely is the Gargoyle King now?
Yes, definitely 100%. I do think Chick mentioning maybe that means he's going to be a little. He has to, if he's going to come back, he has to come back for a reason. What reason is that? Perhaps he's the Gargoyle King.
No, that's insane.
I'll throw a possibility of why Chick might come back. Chick could come back to kill Hal for vengeance, and Betty might be forced to save Hal to push that relationship forward.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thanks.
Or we could just move forward in any other area of the show and never mention Chick again.
Or we could have like a fun, like we've already had this noir episode, like a fun only Chick episode. Like, what's he been up to? What has he been doing?
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, where did he run when he ran away that day?
Yeah, follow him in real time.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love it. A journey.
Like a 24 episode?
Maybe that's going to be the Riverdale movie that they do.
Oh, God. 24-hour long Riverdale movie.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's not happening.
Yeah. Last thing we are going to do before we go, and I'm just going to throw this out at you guys, and I think you should feel free to turn this down, but I did get a little bit of feedback on Tumblr about the way we end every episode. Now, frequent listeners of the podcast know that at the end of every episode, we ask Betty or Veronica. Some folks were asking, why do we do that? And I explained that back when we started the podcast, we thought this was going to be about Archie comics, this show. As it's turned out, maybe not so much. But back in the Archie comics, all of it is about, is Archie going to choose Betty or Veronica? So we thought that would be a fun thing to do in the show.
I thought it was going to be mentioned once in the show.
Yeah, like literally at all. And it hasn't been. I will say, for my sake, I'm still on board with it because I find it ridiculous that we try to break it down based on the fact that, like, there's no reason to compare them. But a couple of other folks hit me up saying they felt like we were pitting the two main female characters against each other on the show. I assured them that's absolutely not what we're doing, but they suggested maybe we open it up to best character on the show or something like that. Again, feel free to turn it down, but what do you guys think? Do we stick with Betty or Veronica, or do we do MVP?
MVP.
I have never been one to stick with just Betty or Veronica, so I'm happy to do whatever. We can say Betty or Veronica or anyone.
Ooh, okay, but we're still going to say Betty or Veronica, right?
Yeah, sure, whatever you want.
All right, this episode, talk about this episode only, Betty or Veronica or anyone.
Nice, good.
Natural, right? Did that come off real natural?
Yes, good. Very. Okay. Like you really enjoyed saying it, for sure.
Like it didn't take a little piece of my soul out and throw it on.
Yeah. It was the same way you delivered your titular dirty fuckers line. And by titular, I mean your autobiography coming out.
Yes. What do you think, Pete? Betty, Veronica, anyone?
I'm going to say Betty all day, every day, with a side of Josie, because Josie was also phenomenal.
You can't do that.
Oh, God.
I just did. It's MVP time. So my two MVPs are Betty.
It's not how MVPs work.
Right. It means most valuable player, not players.
Players.
No, that's not.
It's not somewhat valuable players. It's most valuable players.
Sure. What about you, Justin?
I'm going to go with Smithers.
Nice.
It's great to see Smithers pop up. I love when they're like, this character's important, and then you see him once and then never again.
I'm going to go with Josie. I really love Josie in this episode. Yep. She was only in 3 scenes, but again, I thought her delivery was so good and so fun. And if they do end up going what did you say, Archcat?
Yeah. Archie-cat.
Archcat. If they end up going the Archcat route, totally fine with that. If they end up just being friends, totally fine with that as well. I'm excited to see what happens next. I think that's going to be great. Guys, thank you so much.
Wait.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to say, yes. Alex, I love you.
All right, thanks. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. If you would like to support, if you love us, I love you too. I love you too.
Pete, I know you. I know you love me, Alex. Pete.
Yeah. What's up, man?
What about me?
Are you going to say it back to Alex?
I say I love you guys.
Oh, no. Pete, he's wondering if you're going to say it to him.
Thank you.
Are you going to say it to him?
Well, I do love Pip.
My dog?
Yep.
And that's a long way away from me.
And your brother.
Okay.
And both your kids.
Okay.
And also, all right, fine. Yes, Justin, I love you too.
I'm glad we were
If you love us, you can support us at patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. at the People's Improv Theater Loft. That's totally free. Please come on by. We'll chat with you about Riverdale. Pete, what else do you want to plug?
Friend us on Facebook so you get to know about the amazing guests we have on our live show.
Follow us on Twitter at Comic Book Live.
Check us out at comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and more. Also at Riverdale Dark, our dedicated Riverdale Twitter feed. And I'm going to get you dirty fuckers.
Whoa.
Forget it, Pete. It's podcast.
Town.
Can I take that again?